Hello, viewers. A very good evening, and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network once again. And let us take a look on the accusations being raised against ZANU PF. ZANU PF was accused of dilly-dallying with South African elections, interfering in South African elections, and they were presently in South Africa. And right now, they are being accused of manipulating the Mozambique elections. So if you look at the accusations in terms of South African elections, they are quite different to the accusations in the Mozambique elections. This time around, they are being directly accused of interfering. If you look at what was happening, there is overwhelming evidence which shows that there are ZANU PF people presently right here in Zimbabwe who voted for in the Mozambique elections, something which raises eyebrows and suspicion. Then Joseph Kalimbwe says ZANU PF sent a delegation to Mozambique to help Frelimo. ZANU PF sent a delegation to Botswana to help BDP. ZANU PF has sent its runner to print ballots in Namibia. This is, if you look at this, this is something which is clear. Patrick Chinamasa and the team, they were deployed to Botswana, and several accusations have been raised by Botswana people. And let us take a look about something which is very critical and very important at this point in time. We cannot ignore this. So I want to share with you something again, which has been raised by Job Sikala, which is very, very important. So the Ian Khama, the former president of Botswana, has raised this issue or has spoken about this issue. And it's something which is very important, something which can never be ignored by the people of Zimbabwe, because ZANU PF has become a regional threat. It's a regional security threat altogether because of its actions, because of how it is operating, placing its own rules, becoming whatever it wants in the whole region. Job Sikala says ZANU PF has become a regional cancer. Addressing a rally recently in Botswana, President Ian Khama said ZANU PF has sent its agents to rig the forthcoming elections in Botswana to be held on the 30th. The same ZANU PF party has been involved in the rigging of the recent elections in Mozambique. He also points out the party's nocturnal involvement in being risked to be hated everywhere in the region because of a stinking party that loves to interfere in the domestic affairs of other countries. They are the loudest to cry against interference in domestic affairs of our own country, but found practicing exactly the same in other nations. So if you look at what Job Sikala is raising right here, this is true. Because wherever you go, you find ZANU PF fingerprints everywhere in terms of the elections. They were there in South Africa, visibly seen in South Africa. They were there in Mozambique, in Botswana. Actually, they are there, visibly seen in Botswana. The Zambia issue is happening, an enemy of Zimbabwe, because they are backing the former president of Zambia, Edgar Lungu, so that he becomes president once more in 2026. So they're doing whatever they can to make sure that Edgar Lungu wins those elections. And also, they are decampaigning HH because they believed that he influenced that report, SADC report, of which that is not the case. Zimbabwean elections were in shambles, very, very, very useless elections which happened in Zimbabwe. And right now, ndo machairman and gets in Mozambique. How is he going to deal with that situation as the chairperson of SADC? going to be able to put everyone together to deal with this issue. It's going to be a very, very difficult task. Differ. You might think that what happens here in Zimbabwe will happen in Mozambique, and then things to deploy forces to try and calm the situation in these countries. So one of the most important things is to note, Kuti, you can gain influence and try to control, but you will not last long if you start to fight battles from different angles, because it will come a point where a revolution shall rise from one country and it will move from one country to another so as to displace the mess which they have placed at this point in time. So this is what is happening, and this is something very important to note, that these people, they've done the worst, they've done worst things in trying to influence political issues across different countries, and it's very sad. So Anzi, aren't you giving ZANU PF too much credit to say their tentacles can stretch that far and wide and remain effective? Is ascribing them to enormous power. ZANU PF Pachayo, it's a system, a very dangerous system. This is the reason why personally I've said, when dealing with ZANU PF, you need to be very 100% cautious, because it operates beyond the borders. It's just that they fund missions asinganzwisiki ndo avanofanda iwayo. If they were stretching beyond our borders, doing something tangible, it was going to be better. But they are spreading their wings to other countries for wrong reasons. So, this is what is happening at this point in time. And one day, I want to say this, one day the situation shall normalize in Zimbabwe. It will end one day. The way they are using and abusing status kumhanya vachichema institutions iwayo avapandukira. You have to know that the thing called power, it's something, it's temporary. Vanhu vazhinji vamuri kushandisa ava vari kutodawo shanduko. So this is Team Zimbabwe. These are the accusations being raised at this point in time, and we continue to pray that we have change right here in the nation.